Maurice, what's up, dude?
How are you? And where are you? You're in Tennessee.
Yeah, man. I'm doing really good. I can't complain. Life is
Yes.
good.
I'm glad life is good, brother. I am actually overseas. So it's 10:15 p.m. from no, I lie. 8:15 p.m. for me now. I'm in Beirut today. I saw us on the calendar because I never know where I'm going to be. So I schedule these things and whatever comes up comes up and I'm like, "Oh no, it's Brandon. I'm not canceling." If it was if, brother, if it was anybody else, I'll be blunt with you. If it was anybody else, I'm like, "Oh man, we're going to have to reschedule this one. It's just not going to happen." But you're a different breed.
Well, it's no problem. We've got to reschedule a better time that works for you. Yeah, it's really not a big deal. I get it. That's
No,
cool that you're in
no,
Beirut.
no,
That's
no.
tough to do things overseas like that when you're traveling. Is this for business or is this for pleasure?
I'm home. I'm at my house right now in Beirut. So I split my time now between Lebanon and coastal Maryland. So coastal Lebanon, coastal Maryland. I live on the water in both places. And we just happened to schedule this while I was on my cycle on this side, and then I'm back in the States next week. But I've been here for 3 weeks or so, and then I'm
Oh,
headed back.
fun, man. That's a good
Yeah,
time. All
dude.
right.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, absolutely.
That's a
So I'm
different
glad we
schedule
finally
too.
connected. It's a different schedule.
That's a big time difference. So, you're in Beirut. Is that the Beirut that's in like the Middle East? I'm trying to think. Is
Yeah, I'm
that
in the Middle East right now.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
in the
what I
Middle
thought.
East. Yeah, I'm in Lebanon. 7 hours no, 8 hours ahead of you. I'm 8 hours
Yeah,
ahead of Central Time. Yeah.
because it's 12:18 right now. So
Yeah.
it's a big time difference to flip flop between. I don't know how your sleep schedule doesn't get screwed up.
It can. You know how you see me on LinkedIn and all that type of stuff, talking about 4 a.m. gym sessions and all that type of stuff? Here, I don't do that because usually, like, let's say my meetings with Quattro or whatever, they start at 9 p.m. Okay. So that's 2 p.m. Eastern, but that's 9 p.m. here. And then that finishes. And then my little one calls me he gets home from school and then we do homework virtually. So that takes about an hour and a half. So that's like 11:30 p.m. I'm like, nah, I'll get up later in the day and stuff. But I have to like manage kind of the time schedule and stuff, but it all works eventually.
I bet, man. Well, that's cool. I'm excited to jump in here with you today.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff. So, one of the reasons, so, okay, the interview, I already started recording, by the way. I always like these natural conversations and stuff. You know that interview that you and I did?
Hmm.
One of the reasons I loved it so much is because we did not talk about we talked about real estate a bit, we talked about business a bit, entrepreneurialism, but we talked about life. When people talk about life rather than business, that tells me that their head is screwed on in a way that I vibe with. Not everybody. Like there are people who love heavy business and things of that nature, but I'm very much one of those people who believes that business is supposed to support life. Not that business is life. Not for me, not in my vernacular, and certainly not for the Try Life On community. Most of the people who listen to the podcast or read the newsletters or hit the website or follow LinkedIn or whatever, everybody is trying to, in some capacity, try life on in their own way, cloak some kind of veil over them so they can leave corporate and go be a pottery specialist or leave government to go, which everybody's leaving government now, but leave government and go open a Subway sandwich shop or travel the world or live with their kids in a different way or have more faith or whatever. Everybody's trying to try life on in some capacity. And you really struck me in that conversation. I really want to thank you for it as somebody, even though you're doing HBG Capital and you have a lot of real estate stuff going on, you look at it from a life perspective. And that's what really intrigued me about your story in general. And I wanted to know where that comes from and why you have that value system.
Yeah. You want to talk about that now? Or do you
Hit
want to
it.
say that for the podcast?
No, we're on the podcast right now. Hit it.
Oh, okay. All right. We've already hit the start button on it. Yeah, no, looking for that's one thing I really like is I do so many business podcasts, and that's fine. I love talking about business, but the life stuff really lights me up.
Totally.
So when I discovered my why, which was to create as many unforgettable life experiences with those that I loved, it helped me see what I wanted to do. That was the means to the end. I realized that building this life where I create these experiences is ultimately, in my opinion, for me, the meaning to my life. So if we look at life and what it is, it's a collection of experiences. That's all it is. When you retire on your memories. And so my goal is to create as many of those memories early on in life so that they can continue to pay dividends. Like if you buy a stock or real estate earlier on, the longer you own it, the more dividends it pays you, the better ROI you get out of it. Much like a memory that you create early on with your friends and your family, that memory will continue to pay dividends throughout your lifetime. And so for me, I think about what it is that I'm trying to build. If I were to ask, I was doing a presentation in front of it was a mastermind group we had to pay $55,000 to be a part of, right? And there's guys that are pretty big heavy hitters in the room, and I was invited to do a presentation on building a fulfilling life. And I asked everybody, okay, guys, if you had all the money in the room that you could ever spend, what would you do with your time? What would you spend it on? And as you can guess, the answers were pretty obvious. Well, I'd spend more time with family. Oh, I'd give back to some more charities that I wanted to go to. Oh, I'd probably go and do some passion, learn to surf or play drums or something I've always wanted to do throughout my life. The funny thing was, all of the answers didn't require a lot of money. There were things that you could actually do right now if you just spent the right time to focus on it. So I broke it down and I was like, okay, so if you want to spend more time with family, and quality time, I think, is kind of what people are getting at here. It's not just spending more time having dinners or whatever, but the unique quality time. How do we go about creating that unique quality time? What exactly is it? And so for me and what I figured out, it's creating these experiences that bring a lot of joy, these reactions. Like my sister FaceTimes me yesterday. She just bought a new house. She rehabbed it. She lives in the same neighborhood as me now. And she freaking was smiling on the phone. She's like, got in the mail today. And it was a coffee maker. It was a bougie coffee maker with coffee and a bougie milk steamer. Because I went over to her house. I know she had like a 10-year-old coffee maker, and she loves coffee, by the way. Like that is like she loves coffee. And she was so excited. That's something she would have never bought for herself. But I noticed she needed, I noticed that she wanted. And so that was an experience that I will always remember that. And she'll wake up every single morning with that coffee maker and think of me and think of the family. And so it's about how do we optimize the quality of time that we spend with our family. And this is what led me to doing these annual trips with my mom, my dad, and my siblings and my wife. It kind of starts with that core, and then I branch out with family. Okay. Because they're really close to me. And I think we might have talked about this a little bit. So my mom, she's a history teacher. She loves history, but like a history teacher, she didn't make a whole lot of money growing up, right? She did a wonderful job of providing for us, with my dad, but didn't have a chance to travel and do the fun things and go to the places that she had spent 25 years teaching. So every year we go somewhere historic. We just got back from the Alamo a few months ago in San Antonio. She's taught about the Alamo for 25 years. Seeing the look on my mom's face walking through what she's taught for 25 years was just cool. And so for me, I got to think of, okay, if I'm going to create quality time with my mom, if I'm going to die one day my mom is going to leave this earth, she's going to be dead. What do I have to do to optimize and make this the best quality life for her and her relationship for her and I? And so this is where the annual mother-son trip was born from, right? Awesome. If we do this for the next 30 years, hopefully she's around for, maybe 40 years, or at least until she's retired, that'll be something that she can retire on, those memories that we created together. And when she finally leaves me and goes on to the next part of her life, I will at least have those dividends of memories that
you'll have those dividends.
Yeah, for the rest of your life.
Who said that? I don't know if you coined that or that book I read. I
There's a
heard
really
someone,
good book that talks about this stuff, and it's funny because
yeah,
it's called Die with Zero.
Die with
And the
Zero.
funny
What's
thing
his name?
was,
What's his name?
forget, he's an energy trader. He made a hedge fund
Yes,
energy trader,
that's
and
it. That's it.
really, really
Yeah.
cool stuff he's doing. It was funny because I had all my friends send me that book. They're like, Brandon, you've got to read this book. You've been doing this for years. I see your social
Yep.
media. You got to read this book. You've been doing it. And so that was kind of funny is I was like, hey, somebody wrote a book about the stuff I've been doing since I started my brother and sister annual trips when I think I was 22 years old. So I've been at it
Man.
for a little bit.
But his name is Bill Perkins. So when I read that book, I listened to it on audio, but when I read it, I had the same flashback that you did, where I was like, no, I've been doing these things for years, and here's someone articulating to me what I've been doing in a different
Yeah.
way. I think there's, which is why I was attracted to you as a person, right? I think there's actually a lot of us who think differently about life. Let's say try life on or lean in with intention or whatever it is that you want to call it. But we tend not to speak about it out loud very often. I am now on this platform, and I think you do on your podcast as well. But there was a time when it just wasn't cool. Everybody wanted to make a certain title, get a certain amount of money, et cetera, et cetera. Why do you think so early you adopted kind of the principle of, no, I have to find ways to live life my way? And as you say, and I have the same intention. I believe that life is purely two things: relationships, and expansive experiences. That's it.
Mm.
You can have your faith associated to that. You can have your family associated to that. But the way you build your life book is, as you say, having memory dividends to always be able to remember it. But we don't get that early. You seem to have picked up that trait early, and I'm curious why.
It didn't start out that way. When I was 22, I was going through a pretty disruptive event in my life. The woman that I was going to marry, I found out was cheating on me. We lived
Mhm.
together, and it was literally like a divorce without all the legal headache. I was very blessed at the time to go through that at a young age because we had, dated for so long. And, that's pretty traumatic when you build this mental future with somebody on
Mhm.
proposing and marrying to her. And I'd actually shopped for the ring, and that all gets ripped away from you, right? Although
Mhm.
that future that you wanted to build is completely gone. And at the same
Wow.
time, when I was 22, I was learning some things. I was transitioning out of college into the workforce, and I was
Mhm.
learning an important life lesson, which is that people come and go out of your life. And that was something new to me at the time. I thought that the friends, that I'd made in college were, going to be there forever. And anybody that I went out drinking with was a good friend, that I could laugh with. And that's what taught me that family is forever. There's a lot of people that are going to come and go out of your life, but family isn't. And you
Family's
need to
forever.
take care of those that are going to stay in your life. That was a pretty eye opening moment for me. I realized who my real friends were and who my friends weren't, through that breakup, like who was there for me and who wasn't. And I had this revelation that my family is forever and I need to do a better job of building a solid foundation with them. And now when I was 22, I had a younger brother and
Mhm.
sister. And when you're 22, you're not that far out of high school.
Right.
You're not that far out of middle school when you're in high school. And what do you do with your brothers and sisters when you're in middle school and high school? You fight like dogs. So I didn't have this good relationship with my brother and sister. And at 22, I realized I needed to fix that. And I spent when I was 20, I started trying to do it. And it worked when I was 22. 2 years I spent calling my brother and sister, and they were in high school at the time, trying to rebuild our relationship, to change it from that
Mhm.
civil rivalry and fighting to there's an adult relationship here, which is kind of tough because you got a history
Mhm.
there. But it took me
Mhm.
2 years, and I broke through. And Maurice, I'm telling you, some of the phone calls were like, "Hey, Sydney, how's your day going? Brandon, what do you want? Why are you calling me?" That
Oh
was
man.
some of the
Man.
initial response I got. And so when I was
Man.
22, we did our first ever sibling trip. I booked the Toey River rafting trip down near
Oh,
Chattanooga,
you've been doing it a
Tennessee.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was an Olympic river, and we did that. And then we went hiking at Buzzards Point in Laurel Snow down there near, I think it's Dayton, Tennessee. And on the
Mhm.
way back, we
Mhm.
booked a random skydiving trip, like on the drive back. And that was the starting point of me building a solid foundation with my brother and sister and having a really good relationship with them. And that proved the concept. And from there, as I got a little bit older, I started doing some of the other trips with my mom, with my dad. Right now I've got an annual buddy trip that I do now. I'm trying to get that set up in stone. And so just building these concrete experiences with my inner circle right now is what I'm really focused on. But that's where it came from. Initially, it wasn't I knew what my why was at 22. It was me realizing that people come and go out of my life, and I need to do a better job of building a solid foundation with those that are close to me.
Yeah, I didn't know either in my 20s. I've said it on other podcasts, but I had my two catalytic events. One, I traveled in France for 30 days when I was 15, changed my life. Inner city kid in Boston, traveling around the country of France in an old Range Rover. To this day, I still visit that family that did that for me and thank them all the time. I was just with them maybe 3 months ago. They're in their 80s now, so it's a little bit tougher. And then
Oh,
two,
wow.
I found a financial book that explained passive income, and I'm like, ah, I can do real estate if I can figure it out, and I can create time. And if I can create time, I can go back to when I was 15 and have more of those experiences that I just felt when I was 15. And that has been the dominant factor of my entire life. It has not been, I want to do real estate or business or work as a consultant or something to make a ton of money. I always wanted to do it to find a way to free up time to go back and have those experiences so I could feel
Yeah.
good about life. So it's not a surprise that I've been as many places in the world that I've been and things of that nature. But we do have these things that happen in our life that push us a certain way. For you and I, it's been experiences and relationships. But for other people, the experience has been the 20 to 30 years, formal education. I'm supposed to be this. I'm supposed to get into medical sales like you did and climb or do this or whatever. What was the transition like for you? So, okay, so explain your journey, right? So I know you did the medical sales for a while, then real estate somehow came in. Other people are trying to figure out their journey. How did everything shift for you and where did it start from?
Yeah, I was very lucky,
Okay.
and I don't have this traditional story. Thank God I didn't do well in corporate because I'd probably still be in it and I didn't have to climb 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
My dream job was medical device sales. The idea of wearing scrubs every day, rubbing shoulders with successful orthopedic surgeons, getting to be in the operating room every single day, making a difference in patients' lives, that was really cool to me. And when I finally broke into that industry and realized my dream, I loved what I did. I did not want to quit. And it wasn't until one sunny Friday afternoon at the Starbucks over in Weston and Nashville downtown that I met with my boss and I learned that I no longer had a job. That was a big shock for me because I live, breathe, hate that job. I love what I did. My boss was a mentor to me. He was the guy that helped me break into the industry, and I
Mhm.
respected him. And I felt like I was losing a father figure at that moment. And at the same time, anybody that's ever lost a job, especially your dream
Oh, they
job,
let you go or they let you
I got
go?
fired. I got
Oh
fired from
man,
that
I
job.
didn't
Yeah,
pick that up. Okay. Yeah.
he fired me from the job, and I lost my sense of identity. I didn't know who I was because I was
Yeah.
so
I get
wrapped
that.
up in Brandon, the medical device sales rep. And when that was gone, I was on this exploratory journey trying to figure out the next thing. And I started
Mhm.
multiple businesses. We could laugh about one of them was like a life coaching business. And Maurice, you're not going to believe this, but turns out not many people want to take life advice from a 26, 27-year old. So that business
Right.
didn't work out very
Right.
well.
Right.
I started a course on how to break into medical device sales. That flopped, but real estate was the tool that allowed me to start creating the freedom that I want to build these experiences to give me the time freedom. And now I just want people to realize, don't rely on a job take care of you financially. You can be as loyal as
Yeah.
you want to these companies.
Yeah.
You can put as much blood, sweat, and tears and time as you want into them. At the end of the day, you're a number. Nobody is going to look out for your financial well-being but
But
you. And I
you,
learned that the
but
hard
you.
way.
Yeah. And I was just having this conversation today, doing a media project related to Try Life On, but it was a media project. And I was telling the director, he's a business partner of mine. I was like, Z, I was at Accenture. It's a management consulting firm for 25 years. Great experience. I never talk shit about them. It was phenomenal experience. I was also in the US Air Force for 22 years. Great experience. Phenomenal. I will never talk shit about it. But when I left each, within 4 days, it was very apparent to me that the 25-year void that I filled, that I all of a sudden disappeared from, had filled in quickly. I was gone. It was like I didn't even exist for those 25 years. And a lot of times, what bothers me about a lot of my colleagues that are still out there, they don't realize that they are giving massive chunks of their life away for missions that don't have anything to do with who they are or at maximum what they're going to be in the future. So I like that you say that I like that you say that, like, don't trust just a job. We cannot rely on a brand, although I want to be part of society. I think we should be part of something. But I like the fact that you said real estate is a tool, because I also don't think that real estate is the end all be all of anything. And you know how much I'm into real estate as well. It's just a tool. The question I have for you is, okay, medical sales was your thing, just like being a teacher is somebody else's thing, or being an exec VP is somebody else's thing. But somehow you found real estate. How did you find real estate, and why did you move to real estate?
At the same time, I had these other failed businesses going on.
Yeah.
I'd read some real estate stuff, and a lot of my inspiration came from one episode on Shark Tank where a guy got a deal and his business was selling potatoes with a message and the person's face on it.
Yes,
And I remember
remember.
watching that episode going, if this guy can get a deal on Shark Tank,
For
surely I can
potatoes.
make some money by myself figuring
Yeah.
this out. I was like, surely. So that was very motivating for me to see. I was going to these real estate meetups looking for some kind of mentor, looking for a way. And I showed up to one particular meeting. It was the Rich Dad Poor Dad's Cash Flow Quadrant meetup, meetup.com. Nobody showed up to it. I put my info in the little forums. Hey, I'm here if anybody shows up. Nobody showed up. 20 minutes later, as I'm working Starbucks, I get a phone call, and it's this guy. It says, hey, are you here for the meetup? I said, yeah. And I look over and he's on the phone and we make eye contact. His name was Vagif Sadov, and we sat down and had a 30-minute conversation about life. We had just gotten back from Colorado Springs, my brother, sister, and I, on our annual brother and sister trip. We had done this thing called the incline, which is this stairway to heaven. It never ends. It's very hard, very, very hard thing to do. And we started talking about that because he was from Colorado Springs, and we just hit it off. We didn't even talk real estate the first half hour. And as I got to know him, I realized he was trying to build a real estate business here. He had a big Airbnb business in Colorado Springs, and he needed a partner here to kind of do some sweat equity and get it on its feet. And I said, hey, what do you need done? And that was the beginning of our partnership. And he's still my partner to this day.
Oh, is he really? Okay, so two things I want to highlight there for people who are listening. One, you put yourself, I call it being in the hallway. You put yourself in the hallway, meaning, remember how we was in high school and we would find a way to go to the bathroom just so we can get in the hallway and trying to be in the shit and see the girls and see the guys and all that. You put yourself in the hallway. You gave yourself an opportunity by going to that meeting. You don't know the outcome of it. You just have to show up, right? And two, you told that person, what can I do to help? And everyone is trying to find a way to, I don't know, find their mark or create their mark in a space or whatever. But nobody wants to be the person that shows up at the meeting and they're the only one that's there. Nobody. But you did it. And you are where you are now. So tell me what your real estate journey is now, just so folks understand, and HBG Capital as well, and how that came to be.
Oh, so today we turn farmland into entry-level housing communities. I'd say it's affordable with a little a. So when I say affordable housing communities, it's not Section 8 or government housing. It's first time home buyer housing. So that $2,000 per month mortgage, a home in the 300,000s. We are very good at working with the cities to identify the parcels of land that they want to see developed. And we get it approved for these new communities. And our company will go in and basically develop that land, and then we'll sell it to these national home builders. That's it in a nutshell.
Wow. But you weren't doing that at first. Did you start single family apartment
Yeah, we
complex?
started flipping houses. And it's funny. I did a presentation today, and on that presentation is a selfie of me in the driver's seat doing a Home Depot run with all the stuff in the back of my car, probably my fifth Home Depot run of the day. And that was pretty cool to remember and see that photo. So we started flipping houses. That turned into, I think we were flipping 30, 35 houses a year.
Oh
Had a
man.
need to start a general contracting company because we couldn't find any good contractors. So that was where our construction company was born. Then we started building houses because there was more money in that, a little bit easier to manage. From building houses, we realized, oh my gosh, real estate's real expensive. We really need to supercharge our capital raising efforts because, when you have your own money and 20 different houses, a little bit here and there, it adds up really quick. So that's where HBG Capital was born. And when we were able to take all of our own money and pull it out of the houses and use it for business operations and bring investors in to fund the actual deals, that was when things really started to take off. We acquired a lot of land to build a lot of houses. And we started getting knocks on the door from these national home builders. These are Lennar, D.R. Horton, Ryan Homes. You've heard of all of them. And they said, hey, we really like your land that you got over here. Some of them had roads and infrastructure already in. It said, do you want to sell it? And we said, no, we don't. Get lost. And they said, well, what if we offered you this for it? And we said, it's for sale now. You can have it. And do you want the one across the street too? We'll give you that one as well. You can have all of it. And that's how we happened into the land development space. We like it. It's just niche. It's different. We get very large deposits from these national home builders, free money to do the development. We get the landowners to contribute the land as equity sometimes. So we've got some pretty good structures in place that I was never able to do in building houses or flipping houses. It's unique.
But so are you, this is curious to me. So are you maintaining anything for you guys, or do you develop it, sell it off, and then move to the next project?
So we develop it. Everything we do before the project is even approved by the city, we have it pre-sold to a builder. We've got everything lined up to do the developments. It's all pre-sold. So I take my money and I invest it in other different asset classes, like some of the stuff you do, multifamily, self-storage, that kind of stuff. And so I take my business income and I'll funnel it into stuff that I can depreciate and get benefits like that. Yep. Yeah.
But that's a very far road from being with your brother and sister to medical sales devices to flipping homes to now real estate development to land development to farms, which I need to call you on the side about because I have aspirations about farmland and I don't know anything about it at all. I think sometimes that stuff is overwhelming for people. Like where you are now is overwhelming for most people, right? Because they're going to hear everything you said and be like, I can never, ever, ever do that. Did you ever anticipate going this road? Did you see the path? Did you just go with it? Was it a self-development thing? Was it a money thing? What was it that brought you here?
Just create the problem and figure it out. I never thought about the road that I was on. The visions, changed. At one point, I thought I wanted to flip 300 houses per year, and then we were building houses, and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." And then this happened, so it's morphed into something. All I'm doing is paying attention to where the opportunity is, and right now, these national home builders are just really, really hungry for land, and they're willing to put an enormous deposit. Sometimes the deposit takes care of like 30% of the development costs. I mean, it's insane. And so we're just paying attention to what's working right now. Real estate's very cyclical, certain asset classes do really well during certain times. And right now, we're just in something that's doing really, really well. I'm sure at some point in the future, I want to do some build to rent communities. I want to build some of these neighborhoods that we're doing, and I just want to rent them out and sell them and kind of hold some multifamily stuff, kind of like what you guys do.
Yep. Yep.
So I never had any dream to invent new neighborhoods, but I can tell you it is what gets me excited. Like building houses was cool. Building houses was really cool. Inventing these new neighborhoods, like seeing a community come to life, is a lot of fun. For me, I don't know many other asset classes where so many different parties benefit. So you get a new community that creates forever tax revenue with the city. All the neighbors' property values go up. You also get the investors that obviously make money in the deal. You get the seller who's selling the land. They get a lot more money for their land because we force appreciate it through that process of getting it approved for a new community. And then we profit as well. So there's so many people that win when you're able to install a new community. And the fact that we get to provide housing, affordable housing to first-time home buyers, that's a huge problem right now. There's no affordable housing out there. It's a big, big problem. And so to be able to serve that need for American families, that's also a big benefit to what we do. So it checks a lot of the boxes.
It does check a lot of the boxes, but you had a why. You still have a why. Not once in this conversation, so I'm just pointing this out for people listening, not once in this conversation did you stress the money aspect of it. You stress the giving back aspect of it, the affordable housing aspect of it, let's go back to die with zero and the memory dividends that will probably come from the revenue that you generate so you have more ability to do stuff with your family. Real estate or any asset class, I don't care if it's stocks, bonds, gold, Bitcoin, NFT, I don't know what people buy nowadays. I'm just a real estate guy, but it's just to live life better. And the interesting thing that I have found about investors like yourself or developers like yourself, most of the time it was never about money in the first place. It was about self-development and living better. And we just happened to find a vehicle that helped us do it. Real estate was one for me, and multiple careers was the other one for me. Maybe traveling as well. Here's a final thought for you. So, as I told you at the beginning, I'm telling you, man, that your story, and there will have been an intro before we even got on this thing about your story. That I've listened to you on a couple podcast interviews. I read your one sheet and all that type of stuff, and I know you from tracking you on LinkedIn and stuff. Your story is going to motivate a lot of people because you're a Southern dude, you humble, brothers and sisters, family, started in medical device sales, made a shift, ended up in real estate, followed the path, ended up in flipping, now development, now doing farmland to affordable housing. Okay, we have this arc, but what people end up seeing is like, nope, this is what he does now, and that's too much for me. I can't do something like that. So what would your advice be to somebody who's just trying to try life on, as I say, trying to find out something different? They're afraid to jump. They're afraid to take a chance. They're afraid to take a risk. You clearly have over your lifetime, and it has benefited you. What would your one piece of advice be?
I love this concept of the try life on. When we were talking last time, when I had heard this, it was almost like I compared it to like Halloween and deciding what I wanted to be for Halloween, like trying on like a different costume. I was like, man, what a fun concept. Like, let me just try this idea of just being the greatest dad in the world. Just what does it look like for a week if I just show up and just provide enormous value to like my son and like my wife? Let me just try that on for a second and see what kind of benefit or effect that has like on my wife. Or let me just try to do maybe an event for my friends and family and set that up and bring everyone together. Let me try it on. It's really inspired me to experiment with life. And those that I would argue who are on the fence about trying something new, if you can figure out a way to see the opportunity cost of not doing it, what are you missing out on?
Yes.
And the way I do that is I think one of the frameworks I have for making decisions is I literally just imagine I'm laying on the bed and I'm about to die. And I think, okay, if I don't do this thing, will I regret laying on my bed right now? I'm about to pass away. Will I regret not doing that? And
Mhm.
that really helps kick my butt into gear on whether or not I need to do something. So I don't want to get to the end of life and have regrets. That sounds horrible. So
Awful.
that's one of my frameworks that I use. So maybe that'll help somebody listening. If you're on the fence and you are on your deathbed and you're considering doing something, would you regret not doing this? What is it going to cost you? What's going to be your future cost of not doing the thing you're thinking about doing? And another framework, I think the
Mm.
reason a lot of people don't take action is they're too comfortable. Comfort is the enemy of progress. You get too comfortable, you don't want to do anything. And I tend to be very good at continuing to put myself in uncomfortable situations, and that helps motivate me to do things.
Right. You're comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's a cliche, but it works. It does
Mhm.
work. You're comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's no different than me being in the Mideast. It's no different than when I was a police officer. You know what? I was actually going to stack on something you said. It's my only fear. My only fear is regret. The reason I am where I am today at 9 or whatever it is, 8:52 at night, and you are 12:52 in the afternoon, is out of regret. I had this feeling when I served in Turkey, in the military, when I was on the Mediterranean back in 2016. I was like, man, I want to live, work in the Mediterranean. It ate me up. It was eating me up inside for so long. I'm like, I'm gonna find a way to do it, and I found a way to do it. I tell people all the time, as a police officer, I used to run into burning buildings and hey, there's a guy in that home burglarizing the home and he has a gun. And I'm like, well, I guess we got to go in. So we would just go in. I never worried about dying or bullets and none of it is glory. It's just part of the job. It's just what you signed up to do. But the
Mhm.
thing that always messed with me is regret. Did I go to the Mediterranean when my heart told me to? Did I try out for the NFL when I had a chance to? Did I have a kid when I thought I wanted to have a kid? Regret is a really, really big deal, and I don't think people take it seriously enough. You clearly have taken seriously enough. You've built something beautiful. I love the fact that you have such a strong family foundation and background for what you do. And I want to thank you for something. One, for the interview you did of me and the way that you represented me. And two, for also putting real estate in the light that I like to put it in, which is it's just a tool.
Mm.
It is just a tool to live life the best you can and generate revenue and help people. But so much of social media and what we see is purporting it as the end all be all, and it's not. You could be in corporate and be happy. You could do pottery and be happy. You could be an athlete and be happy. You could be a photographer and be happy. You and I choose to do real estate, and it's been a tool to make us happy. It's just one thing. And what I really loved about your statements was you don't purport that real estate is everything. It's just what you found to live your life extremely well. And as you say, create the memory dividends that you'll never forget.
Yeah, you summed it up, man. It's a tool and it's a beautiful tool that can create a lot of financial freedom and help people build the life that they want. And it's kind of funny. I know you're big into giving back and
Yeah,
impacting the
try.
world with everything that you do. I love all the stuff on LinkedIn that you post. It will help you get to a place where you can start giving back, right? The secret to living
Mhm.
is giving. I've got a
Mhm.
poster behind me that actually says that. And that's
Mhm.
true. And that's where you can really reach true fulfillment. If
Yeah,
you can get to a
yeah.
place where you're not having to worry about your bills and you've got that time freedom and you're kind of set, that's when life gets really fun, when you can start giving back.
Well, you have given back. Thanks for giving back to me. Thanks for giving back to the community. Thanks for coming on. I know we rescheduled a couple times, brother, but I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing, and thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man, it was fun. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Hey guys, this is Maurice, host of the Try Life On podcast, and thank you for listening to another episode. I hope you are finding it useful in helping you design your own lifestyle that you don't need a vacation from. If that's the case, please consider dropping a review for me, whether in Apple, iTunes, or in Spotify. Drop a review, put some stars on it, give me some feedback on how I can make the podcast better, what information you are looking for. I am doing my best to get information to you on the Try Life On principles, the 5 freedoms, how to build lifestyle, travel hacking, all of it. And I want to do it for you. So please do a review for me. And until next time, my name is Maurice Philogene, and this is the Try Life On podcast. Peace.